The knocking started, 300 feet in the air. That's the problem. Nothing can reach up here, not without wings, or something much worse. I looked at the clock. It was exactly 3:14 a.m., and I knew, right then, that opening the trap door would be the last thing I ever did. I took the job for the silence. That's what the brochure promised. Solitude, they called it. A 6-month contract in the Blackwood Peaks fire tower. Just me, a radio, and miles of green canopy stretching out to the horizon. I was running from a bad divorce and a pile of debt, and the idea of disappearing into the clouds sounded like heaven. The ranger who dropped me off, a guy named Miller, didn't say much. He just hauled my supplies up the winding metal staircase, his boots clanging against the grate. When he reached the top, he handed me a heavy iron key and a flare gun.
Radio check is at noon, and keep the hatch locked at night. The wind gets strange up here.
He left before I could ask what he meant. I watched his truck disappear down the logging road, a tiny speck of white swallowed by the green throat of the forest. That was 3 weeks ago. The first 2 weeks were peaceful, boring even. But then the radio started acting up. It wasn't the noon check-ins, those were fine. It was the night. It started as static, just white noise cutting through the silence while I tried to read. But static doesn't breathe. Static doesn't have a cadence. This sound, it had a rhythm, like wet lungs trying to inhale. I tried to tune it out, dialing to different frequencies, but the breathing followed me. Channel 4, Channel 9, the emergency band. It was everywhere. And then, on the third night, the breathing stopped, and a voice cut through. It didn't sound like a person. It sounded like someone had cut words out of a newspaper and pasted them together into a sound.
The ash is walking.
I grabbed the mic. This is Tower 4. Identify yourself. Silence. Then a sound that made my blood turn to ice. It was the sound of my own voice, played back to me, but distorted, twisted.
Identify yourself. Tower 4.
I told myself it was interference. Some kids with a ham radio messing with the new guy. But last night changed everything. I woke up because the temperature dropped. I could see my breath pluming in the air, despite it being mid-July. I sat up on the cot and looked out the 360-degree windows. Down in the valley, usually a pit of absolute darkness, there were lights. Not flashlights, not fireflies. They were pale, sickly yellow orbs, floating about 7 feet off the ground. And they were moving in perfect unison. I grabbed the binoculars. My hands were shaking so bad I could barely focus. When I finally got the lenses steady, I wished I hadn't. They weren't lights. They were bioluminescent patches of fungus, growing on things. Tall, gray things. They looked like men that had been stretched on a rack. Their limbs too long, their skin the color of wet ash. They were standing in a circle around the base of my tower, looking up. And they didn't have faces, just smooth gray skin where eyes should be. I locked the hatch. I threw the heavy iron bolt Miller had told me about. I piled my supply crates on top of it. I sat in the corner with the flare gun, pointing it at the floor. Then came the sound. Metal on metal. The first step. The tower is 80 feet high. There are 120 steps. I counted them my first day. Step 2. They were slow, deliberate. They weren't rushing. They knew I had nowhere to go. I tried the radio. Mayday, this is Tower 4. I have intruders. I need immediate assistance. The radio didn't give me static this time. It gave me a clear, crisp voice. Miller's voice.
Keep the hatch locked, son. The wind gets strange.
But it wasn't a live transmission. It was a recording of the day he dropped me off. Over and over again. Step 60. They were halfway up. That brings us to now. The digital clock on the radio flickered to 3:14 a.m. Step 119. They are on the platform. I can hear their bare feet slapping against the metal catwalk that wraps around the cabin. They are circling me. I can hear their fingers dragging across the glass windows. The doorknob is turning, slowly. Rusted metal grinding against rusted metal. I know the lock is strong. I know the crates are heavy. But then I see it. Smoke. Thick, black, oily smoke is seeping under the door frame. It smells like burning hair and ozone. The smoke isn't rising, it's crawling. It's moving toward me like a snake. The radio clicked on by itself one last time. No static, no recordings. Just a whisper right next to my ear.
Open the door. We smell the fire inside you.
I looked at the flare gun in my hand. I looked at the smoke filling the room. And I realized they aren't trying to get in to kill me. They're trying to get in to put me out. Because I'm not the ranger. I never was. I look at my hands, they are gray. They are ash. I am the fire, and it's time to burn.